The Filmgroup, that great jazzy little company founded by Roger and Gene Corman, was actually born out of really economic need, or you could say economic chaos. Roger had been making those black and white science fiction and monster pictures for American International, like Conquered the World and The Day the World Ended, for example. And he was unhappy with the accounting. So he decided, while he was still going to maintain his relationship with American International Pictures and Jim Nicholson and Sam Arkoff, he decided to start his own company that would make and distribute films separately from his deal with American International. So he partnered with his brother, Gene Corman. Now, Gene was an agent at this time, and had been a big agent at MCA and was representing people like Joan Crawford and was working directly with Jennings Lang. So he was placing movie stars on TV shows such as Wagon Train and what have you. And he was happy to go into business with his brother while they start this company. The first films that the Filmgroup is responsible for are High School Big Shot and T-Bird Gang, neither of which Roger directed. Filmgroup financed both movies and put them into theaters, but Roger would not be directing one of the Filmgroup productions actually for a little while. That goes out, it's another black and white double feature aimed at the drive-ins, and it does just fine. And Roger looks at the books, and the numbers actually add up. So he's very happy, and he's ready to move forward with some more movies. And they decide to do a pair of movies in South Dakota, actually in the Black Hills of South Dakota, a gorgeous location. Beast from Haunted Cave, which was the first movie directed by Monte Hellman, who would direct Two-Lane Blacktop, and who was married to the actress Barbara Morris, who would appear in The Wasp Woman and Viking Women in the Land of the Sea Serpent and all of those wonderful pictures for Roger. And then Roger would make a World War II adventure movie called Ski Troop Attack.
At 9 o'clock, the mine blows, and everybody runs to see the disaster. It'll look big. Then we move into the administration building, make the heist, grab the ski lift, and meet the other two at the top for the trip. Simple.
Now, Beast from Haunted Cave is a monster picture, and Monte Hellman was in there with both hands fighting through the production and the lack of money and everything else, but they were having a ball. They were making this film. He's finally getting his opportunity to direct. Now, Ski Troop Attack, though, is an odd pairing with Beast from Haunted Cave, only in that, not that they were going to be released together, but it meant, wait a sec, Monte Hellman's doing a monster movie, why isn't Roger Corman doing a monster movie? Instead, they do this very somber World War II action film about a group of commandos starring Michael Forrest and Frank Wolf, who are now behind German lines near the Alps and basically are trying to blow up this rail trestle that's essential to the German army, but have infighting among the troops themselves because this is like a suicide mission and they are not going to be able to get out of it.
We can turn back and try to rejoin the outfit, or we can keep going, marking the roads and scouting the enemy advance. Now, the final decision is up to me, but I'd like to hear any ideas you might have.
Lieutenant, sir.
Yes, Gramelsbacher?
In my opinion, this patrol finds itself in a position of rare opportunity. We are in the rear of a disorganized front. We probably constitute the only reconnaissance unit available to the Allied forces. I think we should keep right on going, sir, and report everything we see.
What do you have to say, Sergeant Potter?
Well, Lieutenant, I think we ought to go back where the fighting is. Where any man with guts would want to be, sir.
So to do a war film is a really complicated situation anyway. You have equipment, you have lots of men, you've got action scenes, you've got explosions. all of these things that cost money. Now, Roger was going to use stock footage for certain elements of Ski Troop Attack, and he approached his shooting around the stock footage. So the shots would actually, one shot that Corman did would then automatically match some of the stock footage that they had acquired of troop movements and tanks and things like that. Although he didn't rely that heavily on it, because that was a classic money-saving maneuver. The biggest issue in making a movie like this, and it doesn't matter if you're doing the opening to The Spy Who Loved Me with James Bond, or you're going all the way back to 1935 with John Ford doing the Lost Patrol in the middle of the desert, or in the 40s with Raoul Walsh and he's doing a movie like Northern Pursuit, which was on skis with Errol Flynn as a Canadian Mountie fighting Nazis. You cannot have evidence of your crew in front of the camera. There can be no tracks from the trucks and the footprints and dragging equipment through the snow and all of that. Everything has to be absolutely pristine. And that is a really complicated thing to accomplish. And for no money, it's damn near impossible. But Corman did it, and he did it with great style. And the thing is, too, the films that are starting to appear in theaters are The Longest Day. So this was an atmosphere of World War II adventure, was hot box office. And Roger Corman wanted to take advantage of that. And other smaller companies were making their war films, but not nearly as stylishly or with as much of a challenge as Corman faced with Ski Troop Attack.
Did you ever stop to think that there might be a bullet somewhere with your name printed on it?
Are you crazy or something?
I got a mental picture of some fat old German woman, some factory somewhere, stuffing bullets into a clip. One of them has my name on it, in that black, heavy German type. I can imagine that clip being sent up to the front. Sometimes I pretend that the box of ammo that the clip is in falls off a truck or gets swiped by some kids, or maybe gets sent up to Russia by mistake. And other times, I can see that old bullet coming right for my head, and I duck, sticks right into a tree, and I walk over, take the bullet, put it in my pocket, and then I know I'm okay for the rest of the war.
Now, interestingly to me is that I think Roger and Gene probably sat down and said, wow, this movie actually turned out a lot better than we thought it probably could. Would somebody else be interested in buying it? And in fact, there were offers to buy it. But Roger said, no, that wasn't our business model. We aren't making movies for other people to distribute. That's not what Filmgroup is about. We are going to put it into theaters ourselves. And that's what they did. And it was successful.
Now look here, Zimthrop, what's all this nonsense about wasps?
I'm so glad you dropped in, Mr. Barker. Mr. Barker, I'm on the verge of a great discovery.
Discovery? What do you mean?
Well, sir, I almost perfected a new method of extracting royal jelly from the queen wasp.
According to my figures, you're better at extracting funds from the company. Now look here, Zimthrop, over $1,000 last month for miscellaneous.
Yes, I know. But, Mr. Barker, let me just show you something. Just let me show you something. Already I've learned to slow the process of aging. Soon, I shall be able to reverse it entirely.
In many ways, The Wasp Woman, starring Susan Cabot and Anthony Isley and Barbara Morris and Michael Mark, could be one of the most typical of Filmgroup productions. It's very limited in its scope. Susan Cabot is the owner of a cosmetics company, and she thinks she has found a youth elixir developed by scientist Michael Mark, where he has taken the royal jelly from wasps and developed a serum from this. He gives her injections. She suddenly is stunningly young and beautiful again, and she wants to market this as the great discovery that will also save her company and make her eternally youthful. Of course, the side effect is that she herself turns into a half-woman, half-wasp. She never does devour her mate, although that would be the behavior of a queen wasp, but she does kill different people and drinks their blood and tears them asunder as a wasp will do.
Something on your mind, Miss Stallman?
You've done some work on royal jelly, haven't you?
A little.
Are there any real therapeutic values in it?
Well, I'd say so. Of course, a lot depends on each individual's reaction to the stuff.
What do you mean?
It's just that no two people react in precisely the same way. One man's meat's another man's poison.
Oh. But you think royal jelly can be beneficial in some cases?
Queen bees set a lot of store by it.
I'll accept that as an affirmative answer.
The whole scope of the movie is we are outside with some beehives. We are inside Michael Mark's lab. We are at the cosmetics company. Oh, and a local bar. And that's it. And it moves just like lightning. And then you have your central character turns into this monster. And the way Corman does this in this really shadowed black and white. So even though the mask that Susan Cabot wears is kind of preposterous, and she likened the production to what she said, a foreign film. It was so fast and crazy and loose, and they were just having a ball making this thing, even though the clock was always ticking. And she's good in the movie. And she does wear this full head as the Wasp Woman, and there's some wonderfully gory moments where she attacks him and you have essence of coffee or chocolate syrup dripping down his blood. And then in a really grisly moment, acid is thrown on her face, and then she's thrown out of a window. So, yeah, it's quite an end for the Wasp Woman.
The enzymes, they've gone crazy.
Sure, Mr. Zinthrop. Now, you just relax and take it easy. Everything will be all right. We'll take care of those, whatever
You do not
call them.
understand. You do not understand that girl. You shouldn't have sent her upstairs. She's in danger. You must stop her before it is too late.
Okay, as soon as the cops get here, we'll take
Oh, you fool, you fool. Miss Darling will kill her and tear her body to shreds.
Miss Starlin, kill Mary?
Miss Darling is not a human being any longer. The enzymes have changed her. She will destroy the girl as a female wasp would destroy her enemies, and then devour the remains.
That was also one of the great brain children when Roger Corman would collaborate with screenwriter and actor Leo Gordon, who did many scripts for Corman, but also was one of the great famous Hollywood tough guys, both on and off the screen. He pounded out a lot of scripts for Corman when he wasn't trading punches in movies like Hondo with John Wayne. Gordon knew how Roger and the film group were going to make their movies, so he designed his scripts to the money, to the way the production was going to proceed, which was a very smart way to do it. And Susan Cabot, when you look at the film, it's impossible not to unfortunately kind of think of her own life, which was rather tragic. She had been under contract to Universal for a number of years and did quite a few movies with Audie Murphy, and she was one of his perfect actress co-stars because she was very short. And she's quite good when you look at her in, say, Duel at Silver Creek. She's a feisty young thing in blue jeans who wins Audie's heart. Had, though, some rather severe mental issues, unfortunately. She bore a child with King Hussein of Jordan, and the child later murdered her in self-defense when she was having a mental breakdown and delusions, and he ended up beating her to death. So really very, very sad. And The Wasp Woman is one of her very final performances. So you see this movie about this troubled woman, and I personally, I think it's almost impossible not to draw some sort, even though I don't think Susan Cabot was that concerned about aging, but not draw some parallels from The Wasp Woman to, sadly, Susan Cabot, the actress. But it is a good, funky, fast-paced, well-directed little movie from Roger Corman, which features Michael Mark from Frankenstein. He is the father of little Maria that the monster throws in the lake, and he is the scientist. Of course, the great Anthony Isley, who was such a stalwart in 1950s and 60s genre movies. Also, Anthony Isley is featured in a magnificent painting on the one sheet. Is one of the best one sheets anybody has ever created for a movie anyplace. And so people are going to go see The Wasp Woman just because this poster promises something absolutely wild. The movie doesn't quite deliver that, but it delivers an awful lot for so little money. So Filmgroup's plan and how they were going to budget their productions, how they were going to be shot, and then how they were going to be presented up to this point was doing very, very well and accomplishing each one of those goals.